Corrode is, in my opinion, one of the best maps we've gotten in Valorant. But not everyone agrees. Some players love the clean lanes, the fast rotations, and how easy it is to set up site hits. Others, they think it's a little too simple, too flat, too readable, and not nearly as dynamic as maps like Abyss or Lotus. But here's the thing, Corrode isn't about complexity, it's about control. And if you don't understand the two core concepts that this map revolves around, you'll constantly feel like you're getting outplayed by teams that do. In this video, I'm going to break down the two keys that unlock Corrode, and once you see them, everything about how you play this map will start to click. Okay, so instead of doing what I did last time when I reviewed Abyss, I think this time what I want to do is mostly go over conceptually how I think the map is going to play out and kind of beef that up with some gameplay, and just show you from concept to concept why I think the map is going to play out the way that it does. So I marked out just a couple things here. Obviously, the defending team is in red, the attacking team is in green, and then across the map, I put all the main 50-50s at the choke points that you'll experience as you play this game. There's probably a couple more that you can argue are 50-50s, but these are the main ones that you're going to encounter day to day as you play the map. And these are going to work in both favor and against both defenders and attackers, depending on how you're retaking or whatever, right? But the first concept that I want to go over is probably the most important, and that's the areas of the map that I think as a defender, if you don't hold, you're in a really, really bad position and you should expect to lose a lot of rounds. So I'm going to highlight two key areas here. One is this area here that the Cypher is playing. Of course, it doesn't come as a surprise in a 3-lane map. Mid is one of the most important areas, but this area in particular, I think is going to be one of the things that you're going to see in high ranks, in pro play, that they will do everything they can to not let go of this. I think this is going to be similar to something like Split, where you don't want to give up something like ropes or upper heaven. This is, to me, going to be the most important part of the map. I think in addition to that, this area right here as a defender is probably going to be the second most important part of the map to maintain, both because it gives you access to mid and it gives you a stronghold into A, to make sure that if your team is rotating, you're able to kind of pinch and push from two directions and keep all the attackers in one direction, which is all this way. I think those two areas are going to be the most important. So let me focus on this area right here. The reason I think this is the most important area of the map to defend, at least at the moment, this could obviously change depending on the way that they change the map, if they reduce some of the 50-50s or anything. Let's think about this from the perspective of the attackers. Let's just assume they're doing like a silly 4-man hit here, and maybe Cage is just kind of holding mid to make sure nobody rotates or comes in behind you guys. As this team pushes up, right, let's say they successfully get access to site, they plant the spike, yada yada. This site is unique in that it is extremely difficult for a team to hold it without taking space elsewhere. If they stay on this site, let's just even assume that Omen's not really trying to fully pressure here, but we're just kind of holding here, making sure they can't push in. The biggest thing that you need to understand here is that if they do get access to this site and you still keep access to this mid, they are stuck right here. They can't move, right? Because this is too risky of a proposition to make. You're really not getting a lot of benefit from taking this space either way as an attacker. And when you are holding this position, you're forcing this team to deal with something that I think this map does really well that not a lot of other maps in Valorant do. It's this concept of natural pressure. And what I mean by that is within the map itself, there are areas of the map that you can't really hold without feeling pressure from multiple areas. And you can think of this similarly to like a 50-50, but let's just pretend that this jet here wants to try and move and take this space. If I do my job correctly as the Cypher here, and I keep my ground, and I try not to let this jet push in a little bit too heavy and just kind of keep them contained here and make them slowly peek, you now have to contend with a heaven peak and with this peak, right? The biggest thing to understand about this map, in my opinion, at least on B side, is that there is a lot of that heavy pressure going on, natural pressure going on, where the map itself is providing the pressure. This jet wants to either very quickly push into this area to avoid being caught by the person in heaven, or wants to slowly push in here because they're afraid that this Cypher is going to get a timing, peek out, easily get the kill because there's a 50-50. Even if they push out here, now you have a 50-50 to contend with. And so natural pressure is a big deal here. And so what I think you really need to try and understand is that if you can keep this area here of the map specifically, even if you don't fully, you should control this area too if you're controlling this, but if you can control this entire area of the map, what that allows you to do now is just keep them all boxed in right here. They can't leave, right? Because again, it is a very, very difficult thing for an attacker to come over here, and the benefit or value you get from pushing out here isn't super large. Because think about it this way, all these enemies on the A side, if they are trying to rotate and we don't have somebody over here, what is the point of getting access to this space right here if all they have to do now is come over here and come through mid, because they know the Cypher is here, right? This is an easier push into the site because you have natural cover from this middle area. It's not a 50-50 coming out of it, right? You can just kind of peek this direction first, you can peek this direction after. There's so much more for the defending team to retake from this position than there is from this position. Not saying you shouldn't keep this area, right? If you can keep it, absolutely do. But this is a much easier thing to hold, and then it gives your team the ability on A side to rotate more quickly, to deal with the threat of this push a little bit easier because there's a 50-50 here. Just generally speaking, I think this is going to be the most important area of the site. I think you're going to see a lot of either Viper, KJ, Cypher setups going on in this section here with either the orb, the Viper orb here, mollies kind of being sent here. The KJ turrets, I think, are going to be really, really important here. Potentially having KJ turrets kind of in this corner to denote whether somebody's pushed up far enough. Generally speaking, you want to keep this section here because of natural pressure from the map. And here's a quick gameplay clip kind of showing what that means and how it works. You're in the gameplay, you're going to notice that there's going to be a raise where this fade is, and I'm the Omen, and you're going to see me kind of replace this Cypher. Notice how the attacking team, when they are in this area the Jet is, they can't confidently push this because I have somebody up here in heaven that is looking down there for me and helping me with this entire setup, right? So as they're pushing in, their focus is on me, but there's a natural pressure from the map that gives them the ability to make sure that if they are pushing in, they either have to focus this way and look backwards, or they have to focus this way and hope that nobody's up here, or hope that it's smoked, right? Those are the big issues with this map. So you'll notice that in this gameplay. Okay, so remember what I said. They got access to this area of B here. Remember how that's not super important, and here's exactly why. We have a raise in heaven. We have me over here in this area. I don't even know what the name is at this stage, to be honest, but we're holding down this area. This raise sees that this Phoenix dies, starts looking this direction and try to get the pick. And, to be totally fair, this entire strat and this entire hold is predicated on the fact that Raze can hold her ground on this gunfight. Which she does, right? You'll see that in a second. She gets to pick on Yoru. But notice how we are holding them in this box. They are stuck here. They can't move this direction. And even though they got access to this direction, this Raze is now going to be able to get the pick on the Yoru. That makes this entire area useless for them. So they start trying to push into me. This Raze plays off of me and looks down here below to pressure the people that are down here in an effort to make my hold easier, right? So again, the whole point of what I'm explaining is that there's pressure coming from here and there's pressure coming from up here. So by holding where I'm holding and Raze holding where she's holding, you're invalidating this entire area of the B site without even having them push into this direction. So they're genuinely, realistically speaking, only keeping access to this area of the site because of what we're doing.
Spike planted. You had your fun. My turn. One enemy remaining.
Can use that.
No! 74. Nice. Okay, so we've established that on the B side, maintaining and holding this area here is critical. On the A side, I think a lot of people are gravitating towards wanting to keep this area here. I think this area is going to be a lot less important than people actually think it's going to be. I do think it's slightly important to make sure that you can clear your angles here as you're kind of retaking. But from a defensive perspective, I think the area or side of the map that is going to give you the most flexibility when it comes to, retakes, when it comes to holding the site, when it comes to holding mid, is going to be this area here. And I want to draw a parallel between this part of the map and Ascent. If you think about this area, it is very similar to Ascent A site, where you have tree and then you have the site, and tree gives you access to both mid and to A site. So here's what I'm talking about. If you're all familiar with A, which you obviously should be, on Ascent, you have this section of the map right here, right? So this is tree, and I want you to understand how similar this is to what I was just showing. So if I put them kind of side by side here, you'll notice, again, you have this very quick direct access to holding mid, then you have this very quick direct access to holding A. And I say holding A not as in A site, but holding A before they can even take A site, right? So again, look at Ascent. You have this whole area of the map before these people come in and get access to A. And how does that work over here? You have this entire area of the map, all right here, all right here, all right here, before they get access to A. It is very similar to Ascent in that if you can control this area, and you don't even have a door this go around, right? If you go to Ascent, Ascent at the very least has this door right here, right? So you have this door here that if they close, then that kind of tips them off that you're here because you're going to shoot it down. Maybe you don't shoot it down, so it kind of stops them from pushing in. There's more finesse or nuance here on Ascent. There is none of that over here. If you control this area right here, even they can't walk out of here confidently. They can't walk out into here confidently. They can't go out over here confidently. The only thing that's going to suck for you if you are on the defensive side of the map is that if we don't have any control of mid and they are actively kind of squeezing you from both sides, that's when you're going to need the other defender here to kind of step in and help out. But again, if you can keep this area of the map, again, it's this concept of natural pressure and how important it is on this map to take advantage of the natural pressure. All that to say, conceptually speaking, if you keep access to this area of the map from a defensive perspective, it does the same thing that this area does here now, right? Let's say they do get access to A and they plant, right? So let's just go through the paces here. Let's do the exact same thing we did for B, but let's do it on A. Bring all these people over here. Now, they start moving in. Let's just assume you guys were playing like, weird, dumb positions. You have your raise here, but your gecko's just kind of off in La La Land doing nothing. They start kind of working their way in. They eventually work their way into A. However they get in there, right? Doesn't matter. Let's just say that they get in there and then maybe you've got kind of one person hanging back over here or something. This raise, if this raise can keep this space, what that does now is give more rotate options to hold A, right? So again, naturally, you're always going to have your CT. But now, this raise can come out here with this Cypher and play this mid, clear it together, and then come back in. And now look at all of the space that you have as a defensive team. You have all of this, you have all of this in order to get back in. And where do the attackers go? They don't have any of this, right? So all this is off the table. Being here is, useless to them, right? Yes, there's a wall here that you can possibly penetrate, but very, very few people are going to come back here and spray with Odins through this wall or Vandals through this wall to get any sort of defuse to stop. So you've basically eliminated all of this because this is open area. No one's just going to be sitting there. Look at all the space that they have. Let me mark this in red. This is all they have. They have this little tiny baby area to play in. That is garbage. They have nothing right here. You have all of this because all you did was hold this little area right here, and they have just this red area. Now, how does that work in gameplay? I'm actually going to show you a clip where I attack on a site and how important it was to hold this area of the map. So we start off, in your attacker side, we pushed off this direction, and then I pushed very, very intentionally over to the left. My entire team actually went off over to the right over here. And then I did my best to stay in this area. You're going to notice a KO kind of flanking over here, but notice what me holding this area does for my team. My team, once they get access to site, they can freely roam wherever they want. They can go back here. They can come back over here if they want to. They can come back over here if they need to. all because I'm holding this as the attacker, right? I got control of this space. And so they know that nobody's going to be coming in through here because I've got them. They know that if somebody comes through here, we can fight that together. Whereas if I wasn't holding this space, now they have to come into A, right? So they have to do what they did, come into A. And now they are pinched in this area, because if I die here, they can't come out here easily, right? Because they know there's somebody there. There might be a potential for them to get a pick, and now they're in a really, really bad spot. And so again, it just illustrates the overall importance of this entire strat or hold on this map defensively and from an attacking perspective once you get access to it. Maybe for myself.
Silence. Cutting their vision. Enemy spotted A.
Removed.
All right, so again, look at what just happened, right? Club got the pick on the Reyna. So this entire area of the map is now mostly off limits. I don't want to say fully off limits, but mostly. They can't just freely push up there, right? I mean, usually you don't want to push up here anyway. But if my team decided, you know what? We don't want to keep pushing. We don't want to be brain dead. We don't want to kill these people, which, to be fair, they didn't do that. They kept pushing and they got the picks. That still gives them the freedom and flexibility to say, all right, you know what? They got a pick here. I'm going to push back into here, or I'm going to push over into here where Omen is, or I'm going to push all the way back over here and make sure nobody flanks us, right? We have access now, because of where I'm about to start holding, to all of this part of the map. And what do they have access to? Just this. Barely have anything. And that just illustrates the power of literally just holding this area right here that I've been talking about. If you control that, you control basically the entirety of this area on A. Of course, this goes without saying that, yes, you can be standing right where I'm standing. You can see somebody over here and they can kill you. And now, you know, everything goes to crap, right? But I want you to understand just how important it is that I can keep this space for my team, because now they don't have to focus on being flanked over here. This entryway that the deadlock is on doesn't matter to her anymore, because I'm here. I'm holding the space for the team. I'm being patient with it. I'm keeping the control for the rest of my team to be able to play wherever they want. And I think that's the key to understanding this map is, again, like I mentioned earlier, this area right here unlocks that side of the B site. And then this area right here unlocks, you know, this entire side of the A site.
Careful now.
3
kills. My ultimate is ready.
One enemy remaining.
So yeah, Corrode might look simple, but once you start playing around with those two key concepts and two key areas of the map, it really opens up in a big way. It rewards smart pathing, clean comms, and that kind of discipline that really wins rounds before the first shot's even really fired. If this helped you see the map in a new light, of course, drop a like, hit subscribe. And let me know what you think about Corrode in the comments. Is it underrated? Do you feel there's any hate warranted? And if you want any more map breakdowns, strats, or just any gameplay with actual thought behind it, then of course you already know what to do. Hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.